Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. I hope you've had an amazing week. I have managed to get a little bit more crafting done, of course. I just realised that we're actually into May now, so that's the end of my April fabric stash down month, but I'm still working on trying to get the yarn and fabric stash down, and I think I've achieved that to a small extent this week. At the end of the last vlog, I was showing you the mug rugs that I had mostly finished, but I have completely finished them now. And I have to say, I really love them. I'm not going to keep them for myself because I already have two upstairs on my coffee table that I don't really use. I don't want to get them tea stained. But I had a lot of fun making these. And I think I said last week, now that I have got into slow stitching more, I don't mind finishing things off by hand anymore. So that was a very enjoyable end to this project. So I'll show you how they look now. I've got a crab one with the yellow batik on the back, and an octopus one with the yellow. This line of fabrics with the coordinates was called Blooming Ocean at Fabricland a couple of years ago at least. Maybe 3 years ago. And I just couldn't resist putting some in the stash. This crab has a red batik on the back. My fabric acquisition went down a lot once I left that shop. Probably just as well. Seahorse with the red on the back. And some dolphins with green on the back. And then more dolphins with a slightly different colour combination. So I absolutely love them, and I'm going to put them in the very large bag full of things that I'm saving, probably to go to the festival that I helped to organise later in the year. I went through some piles the other day, and I put a whole bunch of stuff in a bag destined for that festival, for the auction. So that's cleared out some of the stuff that I have got tucked away in various corners. So I will put those in that bag. But if I decide that somebody in my life needs a mug rug with an ocean theme, I can always dip into the bag and grab one. Haven't decided yet. I've made more granny squares out of the Lion Brand Heartland. So I'll just show you those before we move on to the other stuff. So these cards are from Claire Montgomery's Granny Square card deck. And I'm using a fairly limited palette of Lion Brand Heartland to make each of the squares in the box. Now 50 squares isn't going to go far. I rather like this two-coloured one. And I don't know what I'm going to do once I finish the 50. But I know I'm going to have tons of the Heartland left, so I'm going to have to figure that out at some point. I will. I just don't know when yet. Little crafty thing. If you were here, was it a few months back, when I was making little birds out of toilet paper tubes? From an idea I saw on Instagram, I made 2 more. I made them as bright and colourful as possible, just because they are fun. So this is the first one. All you do is you just need a hot glue gun and some paints, really. You squish the end of the toilet paper here and glue it to make the tail, and then you squish this part the other way and just trim a teeny bit off just to curve it for the front of the bird. And glue that down with a little bit of the cardboard you trimmed off as the beak. So on this one, I put it so that it has a blunt beak. And I love doing the eyes because all I do is use a little a pencil eraser. So I've got a whole bunch of pencils with the built-in eraser on. And I've had these for so long, the eraser's really useless now. It's dried out so much, but it's perfect for dotting on some white and then dotting on some black for the eye. It's not very tidy, but I did enjoy making it, and I quite like the little dotty flowers I did on the back as well. And then I covered it in glossy Mod Podge just to give it a nice finish. It turns out really hard. At the moment, these feel firm, but the ones I have upstairs on my windowsill that I made months ago, they feel really hard. Amazing that it's just a little bit of cardboard. So this is the other bird I did. The fuchsia didn't coat quite so well, so I had to do 2 coats of the fuchsia. I did the little bit of cardboard as a pointy beak on that one. And on the back of this one, I forgot to put the extra dot of colour in the middle of the little dotty flowers, but I didn't want to start messing around with wet paint when I came back down to do this morning, because I just wanted to put the Mod Podge on and be done. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So those are going to have to go and live with my other little birds. I did consider maybe trying to figure out a way to glue in a string before I completely sealed up this top part here, but it would have been hanging from here. And I thought it might be really tilty and weird, so in the end I didn't bother. So yeah, lots of fun. Just a really nice, mindful / mindless thing to do. Very much enjoyed those. So I revisited the Warren the Charity Bear pattern this week, or today actually. I've made 2 of these large ones today. The Warren the Charity Bear pattern is by Shiny Happy World, and what I did recently is I made a whole bunch of them in different sizes. So the main one is only about this tall, and I drew around the template to make a larger version, and I made a few larger ones, and then I made kind of a medium size in between the 2 sizes. So the small ones are exceedingly cute, and I made them out of mostly fleece and Sherpa fleece and something else. Can't remember now. So I thought I would have to try and see what they look like made out of upcycled jeans. So that's what I did today. This one is really heavy. It's filled with a couple of balls of that Lion Brand yarn that I bought last year, probably, to review for the channel. And I just knew I wasn't going to make them into anything. I didn't like the way they felt. They would catch every single little dry bit on my hands, and I just didn't like the way they felt when I was working with them. So I did try giving them away. I took a box of yarn that I didn't want to work, and these were still left in the bottom of the box. So I thought, fine, I'll hack them up and stuff this bear with them, and it worked great. So as you can see, there's a seam down the middle of this side. There's a seam on this one, just to prove that those were jeans legs. This is quilt cotton that's got a very denim-y look to it. And I used heat and bond to fuse it to the front, so it was nice and easy to zigzag around it without it shifting. And then this is the back of a lighter denim. And I don't think I fused that one. After I did that, I was like, why didn't I just put heat and bond on the back of that as well? That would have made life so much easier. But never mind. This is a black jeans denim, and so are the eyes. And there's a little circle of white felt on each of the eyes, just to give them a little bit more depth, so they didn't look quite so vacant and scary. And a tiny bit of embroidery thread for its mouth. And I almost zigzagged right over. You see, what I should have done is done the embroidery at the end. But I did the embroidery, and then I'm zigzagging around this nose, and I realized I was going to zigzag right over that. So I fastened off and started again on the other side. just in time. So yeah, he's nice and squishy and he's quite heavy. And that was a great way to use up that yarn and to use up some more of my jeans stash. And then I'd had in mind to make a pig version of this for a while now. And I had redrawn the template. I'm going to put the template away now. But I had redrawn it with different ears. So everything was the same, except I had moved the ears out to here and made them more of a pig ear shape thing. But I hadn't tried it. So today I tried it and I think it came out really well. The ears wouldn't accept the stuffing. Like I tried pushing stuffing in there and it wouldn't stay. And I was like, whatever, if they're floppy, it doesn't matter. Pig's ears are floppy. I redrew the shape from the bear muzzle to make more of a pig snout shape. And I put little bits of black denim there for his nostrils and his eyes. And again, a little bit of felt in there. And because the felt was flapping about a bit, I put a little bit of stitching in there with some white thread just to hold them down better. And then I had this pig quilting cotton, which I fused on and offset. I decided to offset it over here so it wasn't interfering with the seam. And this one is just filled with polyfill, the recycled one. So he's very light, but very plump. I absolutely love it. So those two will be going into the donation bag. Because there's nothing on there that can be pulled off by a child, I'm confident that those will be safe and will be fine. The other thing I was playing with yesterday was some decoupage. This is looking a little messy. I was working on this last night and there's a few little bits that I missed on covering up the black spool. But this spool, which is an awesome size for a slow stitched scroll, is from Michael's where I work. It usually has ribbon on it. We have a whole bunch of ribbons that are next to the helium tank where we blow up balloons for people. And I left a note on the tank saying, if there are any empty spools, I'll take them. Don't throw them away. So I got this one. And it's 4.5 inches, a good 4.5 inches, top to bottom on the inside. So last night I tore up a few pages from an old quilting magazine that I had got for nothing because it was out of date and was being tossed out. And I Mod Podged a whole bunch of little pieces of paper to it. I tried to cover it all, except for that middle bit, obviously. It's not perfect by any means, but colourful. And I thought that would be fantastic for a slow stitched scroll. So today I have cut this really long piece of 4-inch batting. I'm using the nice stuff, the cotton stuff this time. I have a lot of it, so why not? And I cut it at 4 inches. So 4 inches is quite a bit smaller than the gap, but by the time I have covered this with fabric, done a bunch of stitching, backed it and bound it, that's going to add some thickness and some width to it. And so I'm hoping then it will still fit on here. But I've allowed myself some extra room. And I think that will be fine. There's about 1/4 inch at each end to allow for some bulk. And then I was thinking, well, do I want it to be this long? But doesn't matter. I've just cut it the width of the quilt batting roll. And I thought, how am I going to do this? What am I going to use? What theme am I going to have? And in the end, I decided for something bright and colourful. I considered muted and floral, and then I thought, no, that's not really me. I have quite a few muted and floral fabrics in the stash, but I was given them. I didn't buy them. And then I found this fun little piece of fabric, and I have no idea where that came from, of a girl in a sun hat with a crab and a shell and a seahorse and a fish, some seaweed on it, and she's in a lovely red and white. What do you call those things? Maybe in North America they call them life preservers or something. A swim ring, an inflatable swim ring. And it was just so cute, and I thought that has to be what I start with. So then I added in, so these fabrics I used for the mug rugs, there was a few scraps left. So I've added the scraps, or some of them so far, from the mug rugs. So I've got an octopus, some stripes, some fish, some I don't know if those are, I think they're sea stars. No, they're not sand dollars, they're sea stars. And so I'm going to, I think, build this up as I go. I'm not going to try and fill this up with scraps and then sew. I am going to do a bit at a time. And I don't know how wide that piece of batting was, but when I roll this piece of batting up around this, it's pretty full, and I'll probably end up not filling up that whole piece. Probably. I don't know yet. Let's see what happens when I've rolled up this piece, and I'll show you how full it gets. So I think what I am going to do is I'm going to do the stitching with this Aunt Lydia's Classic 10 crochet thread. This one is called Mexicana Variegated, and it's got all the colours of the rainbow in it. It's so fun. It's a little bit thicker than what I normally use. Normally what I would use is either 3 strands of embroidery thread, or doing it a bit loosely. I could have done this better. Or I would use cotton pearl or pearl A8. But I want to use this one because it's so fun in the colour department. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this attached to my spool and work a bit at a time. And I could make this, I can certainly consider this to be a long-term project. I mean, all slow stitching is a long-term project, isn't it? Because by its very definition, it is slow. But I think this will be a lot of fun. So now that I've added some of those fabrics to that, I'm going to start adding embroidery to it. And then when I get that sufficiently stitched that I'm happy with it, I can add the second section. And for future, let me just stab this into here so that it doesn't go all over. There we go. Holds on quite nicely. But as you can see, it's already pretty full. So I have 2 bins, this one and this one. And these are my miscellaneous quilt cotton bins. And there's a lot of bright colours in there. I also have a whole bunch more bins up there on top of my cubbies, which are organised by colour. And I'm sure there's lots of bright things in there as well. So I will start with that and then see how it goes. So that was a pretty short update. I didn't want to leave it till Sunday because I'm going to be busy tomorrow. What I'm going to be doing is spending quite a lot of time on the computer tomorrow doing I think they call it a mail merge or something. Anyway, I'm going to probably be emailing out a couple of 100 businesses and individuals tomorrow asking for auction donations for the festival. And I don't know how long that's going to take. One of the other people in the committee is going to be showing me how to do it tomorrow and helping me get started. So I'm hoping it doesn't take all day. And then in the afternoon, I'd like to go to a meetup at a local restaurant as well. So I didn't know if I was going to have any time to film tomorrow. I obviously will have Sunday free, so I will be able to do more crafting, but that can be something for the next video. I hope you enjoyed seeing my colourful makes today, and I hope to see you next time with something else. Bye for now.